So the very first thing we need to do is we need to create that default very first option. So if you notice in our HTML code, we already created the frame for our drop down list. Now, whenever you create a drop down list, you pretty much have two select tags and you have all of your categories in between option tags. So since the first option we want to display is all categories, that's what we're going to create by default. So let's go ahead and do that right now. If I could find my function. Where the heck did it go? Oh, here it is. So echo, and we can just go ahead and put this in double quotes because we're not passing in any variables. Option, all categories. So basically, all categories is the default option that's selected whenever you're looking at that drop-down menu. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a while loop. Now what this while loop is going to do is it's going to start at 0 and it's going to loop all the way down until it breaks. Now why do I do that? Well, the reason is because I don't want to make a for loop, because if I made a for loop, I would have to give it distinct values, a range of values. Now I want to make a while loop because these are all the categories we have. 0 to how far do we go? 0 to 24. We have 24 categories. But obviously, this is one of the things on our website that's likely to change. We either probably, whenever we're working on our website, we're going to decide to remove some categories or add some as they become more popular. So instead of just making a simple loop with a starting and an ending point, I want to make this loop where it's easy. You just add a category right here and you don't have to worry about any other code. It's going to still work fine. So in order to do this, I'm going to show you guys what to do. First, make a counting variable, name it I, and we start at 0. Why 0? Because 0 is the first category name. And now, in order to make a loop that never ends, just go ahead and put while 1. Now this loop is going to keep going and going and going forever until it breaks. Now we want to break this loop when it gets to the end of this category. In other words, whenever this function returns category does not exist, that's when our loop knows to break. If we didn't make our loop break, then this would just go on and on forever and it would cause an error in PHP. So now, basically, this is going to start at 0 and it's going to go all the way to 24 and then it's going to return category does not exist whenever it's done looping through the categories. Pretty sweet, huh? So now all we need to do is go ahead and do a little housekeeping shiz. So of course this was named number to category. So let's go ahead and copy that. So let's go ahead and say if number to category, and instead of n we actually want to pass in I, is equal to, and now we need to go ahead and copy category does not exist. So basically we're saying, okay, once we are done looping, pretty much at the end of the loop, what do we want to do? All we want to do is break. So basically when we get to the end of all of these categories and you're done doing your thing, then just go ahead and break out of the loop, and that is the code that's going to make this never-ending loop end. If we didn't have this line right here, then we're going to get an error. So basically, when you get to the end, break. Else, while you are working, this is the code that's going to happen whenever you're passing in those values. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 24. So else, if we gave you a good value, then what do we want you to do? Well, basically what we want to do is we want to take each one of these and we want to turn them into one of these, an option. Simple enough, right? Well, not exactly. We need to do a little bit of housekeeping first. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and echo out that first option. So let's go ahead and, okay, I got lost here for a second. Option value equals I. Now, hopefully you guys know a little bit about passing form values and getting the values from them, but basically each option needs a value, and this is for whenever we handle the form in PHP, then it's going to look for that. But basically, the first thing we want to do is make our opening tag, which we just did right there. And we actually don't make the entire opening tag because before we close it off, here, let me show you guys. Right here might be a little bit easier to explain. Now, aside from just making a bunch of options, you also have the option, probably shouldn't use the word option there, but you also have the option of typing in the word selected. Now, whenever you type in the word selected, that's the option that is the default option for the form. So in this case, electronics, whenever we search that, you see how electronics is the option that we see, the user sees whenever they first view the form. That is because if we take a look at the source code, the word selected would be right next to this word electronics. So what we want to do is a neat little trick. We want to go ahead and make a simple if statement, and we want to test if that variable that we're currently on is equal to the variable that we grabbed from the URL. If it is indeed exactly equal to the value that we grabbed from the URL, then what we want to do is we just want to echo out a simple selected keyword, just like that. Now what that's going to do is, before we finish off closing our opening options tag, is that is going to add the word selected before it, and then we can go ahead and close off our ending option. So basically, this entire option thing is equal to this thing right here, except it's a little bit smarter. What it's going to do is it's going to grab the value from the URL, and it's going to see, okay, which one of these is the category they're searching for. If it's the category that they're searching for, then go ahead and add that selected keyword. And what this is going to do is it's basically going to test and see which one of these values is the default value, which one of these do I want the user to see. Now all we go ahead and do is go ahead and echo number to category I. Now what this is going to do is it's going to take whatever value I is, and it's going to pass in this number to category function, which is basically going to return a string, therefore naming our option. And the last thing we want to do is just go ahead and echo out this ending option. You don't need to do anything to that one, thank God. So there you go. Finally, the last little thing we need to do before I forget, actually, might as well finish this baby off, is I++. So one last time, if you have no idea what's going on, listen just one last time, then I'll let you go. We basically grabbed a value from the URL just to see if the user was searching for a specific category. If they were, then whenever we create this form through PHP, we want to make that category, such as home and garden, the default category that the user sees. And we did that by adding an optional selected keyword. Now, after that, we just went ahead and we converted whatever number we were on to a category, which basically turned a number into a string, because it would be a little confusing if these were all numbers right here. And we obviously ended our proper option tag and incremented I one more time. Now again, like I said, what this is going to do is it's going to loop through all your options or all your categories starting at 0 going all the way to 24, and once it gets to 25 it's going to return category does not exist, and once it returns category does not exist it's going to go ahead and break out of our loop, and we can go ahead and go on about our day. So I know this is confusing, but this is going to be incredibly easy to maintain, and the cool thing is we're actually going to be reusing this function again in probably another 20 tutorials or so, and we don't have to do anything special to it. It's going to be all ready to go. So anyways, that's all I have for this tutorial. I know this is a little bit confusing, but just go ahead and look at it and think about it for a second, and it's going to make sense. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and again, all of this source code is available for download right now on my forum, link below. So last time, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.